Hi, this is Ginger. I have set up some tables for you or pivot tables in a Google spreadsheet. So I wanted to share with you how you can control some of the things that you see. So at the top of this screen, I have a math proficiency. Based on the RIT test, the proficiency is students who are at or above the 62nd percentile and those who are below the 62nd percentile. So what you can do is at a glance, you can see the number of students who have met proficiency in grade 0 or kindergarten, first, second, third, and fourth. And you can see that 14 were above, 19 were at or above, 26 in second grade at or above, 23 at or above the 62nd percentile, and 26 at the fourth grade. So what you can do is there's lots of things you can do with pivot tables. So first of all, I can show you that by clicking on the table somewhere, it gives you a pivot table editor over here on the right. So right now, these are counts of students who were in those ranges. And so if you wanted to see those percentile scores percent as in regards to the students in that grade level, what we can do is we can do a we can do a percent of column. So we want to see the students that were in those levels at or above the 62nd percentile. So if I change that to percent of column, oh, I got to change the format of this table. Hold on. So then we can see that what had happened was I had the the format in a normal range format. So I just had to highlight what I wanted to change. I went to format number and I changed it to an automatic so it would do a percent. So in this category, math proficiency, kindergarten, there's 34% that were in kindergarten that were at or above the 62nd percentile and 65% that were below. So that gives you a good idea of the number of students in each of the categories. Now it's my understanding that you wanted to see some additional things. So what we can do is we can add rows to this math proficiency. So over here in the pivot table editor, we have different areas. We have rows, we have columns, we have values, we have filters. So there's a couple things we can do to see what you need to see. The first thing is I'm going to add a row and I'm going to call this poverty. Okay, so in the poverty you can see that the students who were in the 62nd percentile or above, here's your free and reduced students, 9.76 were at or above in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, etc. Okay. Here are the students who were below and free and reduced. So you can look at it from that perspective. The other thing you can do with your rows is you can change the order. So if I change this poverty and I just drag it up above proficiency, then it gives you a different perspective. So we have, it changed the order of the categories. So now we're looking at strictly free and reduced and strictly paid and who was in the 62nd or above percentile rank and below the 62nd percentile rank. So that's helpful. Now the other thing you can do with pivot tables is you can add filters. So right now we are looking at the 1920 fall data. So if I scroll down here and I change the term name, so I've got the 1920 fall data. If I take out the check mark there and add it to the fall 1819, this changes your numbers just a little bit and it gives you the fall data. So you can compare from year to year for the last 3 years what your data looks like. So don't forget, I'm going to change that back. So I'm going to change the term name to Fall 1920, take out the 1819, and then click on OK. You can select multiple terms. So if I wanted to see both years combined, I can absolutely do that. But I just don't want you to get confused on what you're seeing. So let me, by clicking on the table, that gives me the pivot table editor. And I'm going to change the term name to show just Fall of 1920 with a check mark on the top. Okay. The other thing you can do is if you wanted to look at your SPED students. So right now it's showing all students. So now I'm going to just show your SPED students. So here's your filter. This is just your SPED students. You have 33 in kindergarten, 50% are, free and reduced. Remember, we've got that free and reduced category in there for subtype, and then going on and on. So if you wanted to take a look at SPED, that's how that would look. So I'm going to go ahead and choose not SPED, speech, and SPED so that everybody's included back again. Now, let me give you a little hint. If you screw it all up, no worries. You can change it back to a point in time. So if you remember how Google Sheets works, if you click on all changes saved in Drive, I can go back to a different version. So for example, I created these for you guys yesterday, so I can click on yesterday's version and it will go back to exactly how it was before. So that's a nice way of undoing this. I'm going to restore this version, and so it's back to where I was before. I am going to suggest that when you, if you need, I would suggest that you guys create blank lines between. So as you know, you can highlight the rows and then right click anywhere and say insert 8 below. Excuse me. I'm going to insert 8 above. So then that pushes it all down. So then you've got more room for this table to grow. So once again, remember you can change your values. So if you want to look at percentages, go to the values, change this to % of column. You can always add rows. So if I go add a row, and if I want to see SPED, and so there's where your SPED data is. If you wanted to look at it from a different perspective, again, remember you can click and drag it up so it gives you a different perspective on that, or you can exit out and get rid of that row. Let me know if there's anything else that I'm missing, but I think it's got all the filters in here, so if you wanted to change the filters, you could. Please let me know if you have any questions, but this is a great start. Have a great day.